Hello, my name is Harold Ford. I'm the spirit of Johnny Cash, and I'm going to tell you about my musical roots. Music was a big part of our life and our family and most of our relatives. Every time we went somewhere, it was guitars and banjos, and my father was a good banjo player. And so as I grew up, I learned to love every kind of music. And by the time my sister and I were 4 years old, we were doing a vocal harmony, and the song was "You Are My Sunshine." So as time went on, I learned to play guitar. I taught myself how to play guitar at about 14. And I remember I didn't expect it to be that difficult. I couldn't get my fingers coordinated enough to go on the proper string, so I used this hand and put the fingers where they belong. And I thought, I'll never be able to do this. And the ends of my fingers hurt because if you don't press hard enough, you don't get a clear sound on the string. But I kept it up, and things improved. And I taught myself enough chords to accompany some songs. In addition to that, as I mentioned, I liked all kinds of music. I would ride my bike 10 miles to the drive-in to watch a musical like West Side Story, Sound of Music, Fiddler on the Roof, and I did everybody's songs out of pleasure at family gatherings. I didn't like one artist any better than the other, and how I got into the spirit of Johnny Cash is people kept coming up to me and they said, "Why don't you try some Cash songs?" And so I decided to try some Cash songs. And the more I learned the lyrics and I started to understand why he wrote the things he wrote, they were experiences of his own, his life, how he felt. And I realized that really set him apart from any other artist that I knew. And I started to feel the excitement of somebody actually doing that. He wasn't singing about lyrics that had nothing to do with him. He was sharing with the world about how he felt about different things in his life. And the more I did that, the more I felt the spirit. And that's one of the reasons why I went and registered legally as the spirit of Johnny Cash. Because Johnny Cash is gone now, and what we have left is the spirit of his music and the best explanation possible about how he felt about life in different situations. And I got a great satisfaction and excitement out of doing those songs and trying to tell people like I was reading from a book, and the motivation grew stronger and the excitement grew stronger, and the more I enjoyed sharing that energy with an audience, and I could tell that they received it, and that was a great pleasure for me. It took a long time before I realized that I had something to share with people. And I'll tell you a little story about an event that happened that made me realize that. I would always go up to my sister's camp in the Adirondacks, where all the North Country people would bring their banjos and guitars and their bands, and there was music, music, music. So I was there that day, and I took my guitar maybe 100 yards away, and I sat on a picnic table, and I was playing some songs, and a guy walked by, and he listened to me, and he sat down. He said, "Wow," he said, "I thought you were the radio." He said, "You sound just like a professional." He said, "Play some more." And he named some songs that I knew, so I did the best I could on them. And what surprised me was that one or two at a time of all the people that were on the bandstands came down to the picnic table, and they all gathered around, and the crowd got bigger and bigger. Finally, the guy that was on the mic said, "Well, I think I know, when to move." And so they came down. So I thought about that, and I said, wow, that's kind of a surprise that I could attract all of these people down to what I was doing. And so that's when I gained a lot of my confidence. It took me a long time before I realized that I had something worth sharing with an audience. And the shows I've done around North America have been amazing. The feedback I get from my audiences and from the press and TV, the stories they write, the way they write them is important to me because I've never spent 5 minutes trying to impersonate Johnny Cash. I guess I have the natural vocal. Some lady from England asked me if I got my throat operated to sound like Cash. I thought that was pretty funny. But there's never been any impersonation. It's all been natural. The Cash family has recognized that, and I have special privileges from the family and the estate managers to use all of the original promotional material that Cash used. And so that's a privilege that I really appreciate. There's a lot of stories that I have that I can't remember them all at one time sometimes, but it's just very rewarding, very worthwhile, and I hope I can do it as long as I can.
Yes, Chardonnay and
How about Chardonnay?
When we're wound up and everybody else is wound up, you almost get to the manic point. When we did our county fair, or state fair in Syracuse, there was a guy sitting in the third row and he had on a Cash shirt with the flipping off. So I said, I like your shirt. I said, stand up and show it to everybody. So he stood up, proud as a peacock, and I said, and thanks for wearing my attitude. Made him feel good. So after our show was over, and that was covered by NBC nationwide, just our show. Some interesting things happened. We showed up at that front gate and there was a sea of people and there were troopers right there to part the waves, and they walked in front of the car all the way down to the green room and Chevy stage where we performed. And we went in the green room, and when Archie, the lead guitar player, and I walked out, that massive crowd was there, and I remember just looking around and saying to Archie, this is the real deal. It was nice. So when the show was over, we packed up and they parted the waves again to get us on the outside. Couldn't ask for better. Oh boy, here we go. hello from the spirit of Johnny Cash.